They say you can tell everything about a man by what he owns. His car, his house, his clothes, but what if the richest man you ever met looked like he had nothing at all? The vast Colorado landscape stretches endlessly, amber and crimson skis as the sun rises over the Rocky Mountains. A weathered wooden ranch sits on 200 acres of pristine land. Horses graze peacefully. Fence posts stand old but sturdy. Everything here whispers simplicity. Inside a modest two-story farmhouse, Thomas Brennan, 68 years old, stands by the kitchen window, steam rising from his coffee mug. His hands are calloused, his flannel shirt patched at the elbows. He looks like any other retired rancher. But his eyes, sharp, calculating, always observing, tell a different story. My name is Thomas Brennan. To my neighbors, I'm just another old engineer who bought a ranch to spend his final years. They don't know that the simple life I'm living could buy this entire county 10 times over. Thomas walks to his desk, a cluttered workspace filled with engineering blueprints, financial newspapers, and a single framed photo of his daughter, Emily, 32 years old, smiling in her college graduation gown. He picks up the photo, his expression softening. I didn't hide my wealth out of shame. I hid it to protect the only thing that ever mattered her. A silver sedan pulls up the gravel driveway, dust clouds trailing behind it. Emily steps out first, bright-eyed, glowing with excitement. She's wearing a casual summer dress, her hair catching the afternoon light. "Dad, we're here," she calls out. Thomas steps onto the porch, wiping his hands on a towel. He smiles, but his engineer's mind is already running diagnostics. Then he steps out of the car. Marcus Lane, 35 years old, tall, impeccably dressed in a crisp button-down despite the ranch setting, with a smile that seems rehearsed to perfection. His handshake is firm but not aggressive, his eye contact steady but not invasive. "Mr. Brennan, it's an honor to finally meet you. Emily talks about you constantly," Marcus says smoothly. "Call me Thomas, welcome to the ranch," Thomas replies. "First impressions matter. As an engineer, I learned to trust patterns, data, probabilities, and something about Marcus Lane didn't add up from the very first handshake." They walk inside. Marcus looks around the modest interior, worn furniture, simple decor, nothing extravagant. "You've got a beautiful property here, Thomas. How many acres?" Marcus asks casually. "About 200, Thomas answers. "Must be worth quite a bit, even out here in the middle of nowhere." Emily laughs, squeezing Marcus's arm. "Marcus, that's so rude." Marcus chuckles smoothly. "I'm just admiring your father's investment sense. Real estate is always smart." Thomas says nothing, but his internal radar pings. Red flag number 1, who asks about property value within the first 5 minutes? The three sit around a simple wooden dinner table that evening. Thomas has prepared a hearty meal: grilled steak, roasted vegetables, homemade bread. Marcus compliments everything, but his eyes keep wandering to the vintage clock on the wall, the antique rifle mounted above the fireplace, the leather-bound books on the shelf. "Emily mentioned you were an engineer. What kind of projects did you work on?" Marcus asks. "Structural, bridges mostly, some commercial buildings," Thomas responds. "Ever work on anything big, like government contracts or corporate headquarters?" "Here and there." Emily jumps in excitedly. "Dad's being modest. He worked on some of the biggest infrastructure projects in the Southwest." Marcus leans forward, intrigued. "That must have paid well. Did you invest? Stocks, real estate portfolios?" "I did all right," Thomas says calmly. Red flag number 2, he wasn't asking out of curiosity. He was probing, testing, measuring. Emily excuses herself to get dessert. The moment she's out of earshot, Marcus's tone shifts, still polite but with an edge of calculation. "Thomas, I want to be honest with you. I love your daughter. I want to take care of her, but I also believe in being practical. Have you thought about estate planning, wills, trusts?" Thomas sets down his fork slowly. "Why would you ask that?" Marcus responds smoothly. "Because I want to make sure Emily's protected. If something were to happen to you, God forbid, I'd want to know she's taken care of." Red flag number 3, we'd known each other for 2 hours, and he was already talking about what happens when I die. Emily returns with apple pie. The conversation shifts back to pleasantries, but Thomas's mind is already working. That night I couldn't sleep, not because I was worried, but because my instincts, honed over 40 years of calculating risk, were screaming at me. Thomas sits in his study, the only light coming from his desk lamp. He opens his laptop and types, Marcus Lane background check. Nothing unusual appears: clean social media, standard LinkedIn profile, a job at a mid-level consulting firm. Too clean. Thomas picks up his phone and dials a number. Richard, it's Tom Brennan, I need your help with something. Thomas sits across from Richard Palmer, a sharp-eyed attorney in his 60s who's handled Thomas's affairs for decades. The office is understated but professional: leather chairs, wall-to-wall law books, a view of downtown Denver. So let me get this straight, your daughter's fiancé asked about your estate plan during his first dinner at your house, Richard asks. Not just asked, he was assessing, Thomas replies. Richard taps his pen against the desk. Tom, you've always been cautious, but sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. Maybe he's just financially minded. Or maybe he knows something he shouldn't. I wasn't being paranoid, I was being an engineer. When a bridge shows cracks, you don't wait for it to collapse, you investigate. Richard sighs and opens a drawer, pulling out a business card. All right, if you really want peace of mind, call this woman, Patricia Morgan, best private investigator in the state, discreet, thorough. Thomas takes the card. How long will it take? Depends on what she finds, could be days, could be weeks. I don't have weeks, the wedding's in 6 months. 6 months, that's how long I had to prove my daughter was safe, or watch her marry a stranger with secrets. Back at the ranch, Marcus has seamlessly integrated himself into Emily's life. He helps with chores, laughs at Thomas's stories, plays the role of the perfect son-in-law. One afternoon, Marcus and Thomas repair a fence together. The sun beats down, sweat drips. Marcus works efficiently, impressing Thomas despite himself. You know, Thomas, I really admire what you've built here. A man who works with his hands. That's rare these days, Marcus says. It's honest work, Thomas replies. Exactly, honest. That's why I wanted to talk to you about something. Thomas hammers in a post, waiting. Emily and I have been talking about our future, where we'll live, how we'll manage finances. She mentioned you might be open to helping us get started. Helping how? Thomas asks. Maybe a down payment on a house, or even, Marcus gestures to the land, a portion of this property for when we have kids. And there it was, the ask, wrapped in family planning and grandchildren, but I heard what he really said: give me access to your assets. Let's see how things go first, Thomas responds carefully. Marcus smiles, but something flickers in his eyes: impatience. Of course, no rush. But there was a rush, I could feel it, like a countdown clock ticking in the back of his mind. Thomas meets Patricia Morgan at a quiet diner an hour outside town. She's unremarkable in appearance, exactly what makes her good at her job. She slides a manila folder across the table. Marcus Lane, age 35, works at Kelton Consulting. No criminal record, no bankruptcies. On paper he's spotless, Patricia reports. On paper, Thomas echoes. Exactly, which is why I dug deeper. She pulls out a series of photos, Marcus with different women at different events over the past 8 years. 3 engagements in the last decade, all to women from wealthy families. First was Caroline Westbrook, daughter of a Texas oil executive. Engagement lasted 9 months, ended abruptly. No legal action, but the family paid him $200,000 to go away quietly. Thomas's jaw tightens. Second was Jennifer Hale, Philadelphia old money. Engagement lasted a year, ended when her father's accountant noticed irregularities in family trust accounts. Marcus left before charges could be filed. Settlement, $150,000. And the third, Thomas asks grimly. Sophia Ramirez, real estate heiress in Arizona. That one got messy. Marcus convinced her to add him to property deeds before the wedding. When she tried to back out, he sued for breach of promise. They settled out of court for $500,000. This wasn't love, it was a business model: find a target, build trust, extract wealth, move on, and my daughter was next in line. How did he find Emily? Thomas demands. That's what worries me. All his previous targets were high profile, easy to research. But you've kept your wealth hidden, so either he got lucky, or someone told him. Thomas can't confront Emily directly, not yet, not without proof she'll believe, so he does what any engineer would do: he plants variables and watches the reaction. One evening, he casually mentions over dinner, "I've been thinking about updating my will. Richard says I should put everything in a trust, protect it from outside claims." Emily barely reacts, but Marcus's fork stops midair for a fraction of a second. "That's smart, although doesn't a trust make things complicated for beneficiaries? I've heard they can be hard to access," Marcus says carefully. "Only if you're not supposed to access them," Thomas replies. The tension hangs in the air. Emily looks between them, confused. "Why are we even talking about this?" "Just planning ahead, sweetheart," Thomas says gently. His reaction told me everything. He wasn't worried about Emily's future, he was worried about his access to it. Patricia calls Thomas late one night. "We have a problem. Marcus hired his own investigator," she says urgently. "What?" "He's looking into you, deep financial records, property holdings, past projects. He's trying to figure out exactly how much you're worth." The hunter was being hunted, and for the first time I wondered, was I the one being paranoid, or was I the only one seeing clearly? Thomas starts second-guessing himself. What if Marcus is just financially cautious? What if he's reading too much into innocent questions? Then Patricia sends him a video. "Check your email, just got this from a surveillance contact." The video shows Marcus at a high-end bar in Denver talking to an older man in an expensive suit. The audio is muffled, but Thomas can make out key phrases. "The old man's loaded, playing poor, ranch is worth millions, once we're married, legal rights. Doubt shattered, this wasn't love, it was a heist, and my daughter was the key to the vault." Emily is cleaning Marcus's car one afternoon, a surprise gesture when she finds a folder under the passenger seat. Inside, detailed financial records, property valuations, legal documents about marital asset laws in Colorado. And a handwritten note: post-wedding timeline, 6 months to joint accounts, 1 year to trust access, 18 months to full transfer. Her hands shake. The worst lies are the ones we tell ourselves. Emily wanted to believe it was a misunderstanding, that there was an explanation, but deep down she already knew. Emily doesn't confront Marcus. Instead, she drives to her father's ranch in the middle of the night, tears streaming down her face. Thomas finds Emily sitting on the porch steps, the folder clutched in her hands. "Tell me I'm wrong, tell me I'm crazy," she says, her voice breaking. Thomas sits beside her, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "You're not crazy. How long have you known?" "Since the first dinner." She looks at him, feeling betrayed. "And you didn't tell me. Would you have believed me without proof?" Silence. She knows he's right. "What do we do now?" she asks quietly. "We finish this the right way. My daughter had her heart broken, but heartbreak heals. What Marcus planned, that would have destroyed her entire life." Thomas, Richard, and Patricia meet in secret. A map of the wedding venue is spread across the table. "If we go to the police now, it's circumstantial. He hasn't committed a crime yet," Richard explains. "But if we let him proceed, catch him in the act of fraud or attempted coercion," Patricia suggests. "We need him to confess, or make a move that's legally actionable," Thomas states. "And you think the wedding is the right time?" Richard asks skeptically. "It's the only time. Once they're married, he gets legal protections. Before that, he's just a con artist." Patricia slides a small recording device across the table. "Emily will need to wear this, get him to talk about his plan, on record." Thomas looks at the device, then at them. "She's already been through enough. Then you need to decide, protect her feelings now or protect her future forever," Richard says firmly. The hardest thing a parent can do is ask their child to walk into fire, but sometimes it's the only way to burn away the lies. Emily sits across from Marcus in their shared apartment. The recording device is hidden in her necklace. Her hands are steady, but her heart races. "Marcus, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest," Emily begins. Marcus smiles. "Of course, babe, anything. Do you love me, or do you love what I represent?" His smile falters for a microsecond. "What kind of question is that?" "A simple one." He reaches for her hand. Emily, I love you, everything about you. Even if I had nothing, if my dad wasn't wealthy. Marcus laughs it off. Your dad's not wealthy, he's a retired engineer living on a ranch. But if he was, would you still love me? The air changes, Marcus's expression hardens slightly. Why are you asking me this? Because I found the folder, the documents, the timeline. Silence. Marcus stands packing. You weren't supposed to see that, he says coldly. So it's true. Marcus turns defensive. Do you know how hard it is out there? I've worked my entire life and what do I have? Nothing. Meanwhile, people like your father sit on fortunes and pretend to be humble. My father earned everything he has, Emily says firmly. And I'm earning mine, just differently. By lying, by manipulating. Marcus's voice turns cold. By being smart, and if you were smart, you'd see this is good for both of us. We get married, we wait a year, maybe two, then we file for divorce and you walk away with half of everything. We can split it, you'd never have to work again. And there it was, the full confession, not just greed, but a plan to use her, discard her, and profit from her pain. Emily stands, tears in her eyes. The wedding's still on. Marcus looks surprised. What? I said the wedding's still on, but after that, we're done, forever. She walks out, leaving Marcus confused but confident he's still won. He thought he had her trapped, but he didn't realize the trap was already set and he just walked right into it. The wedding day arrives. The venue is breathtaking, a luxury lodge overlooking the Rockies decorated with white roses and golden lights. 300 guests fill the seats. Marcus stands at the altar, confident, smiling. Emily walks down the aisle on Thomas's arm. She looks beautiful but distant. Thomas squeezes her hand. You're the bravest person I know, he whispers. The ceremony begins. The officiant speaks about love, trust, commitment. Marcus takes Emily's hands, his voice smooth. Emily, you've made me the happiest man alive. I promise to take care of you, to protect you, and to build a life worthy of your love. Every word was a performance, and I was about to pull back the curtain. The officiant continues. If anyone here has reason why these two should not be wed, speak now or forever hold your peace. Thomas stands. The room gasps. Emily turns, her eyes meeting her father's. Marcus's face darkens. Thomas, sit down, Marcus says sharply. No, I think it's time everyone here knew who you really are, Thomas declares. This is insane, Marcus begins. You told my daughter you loved her, but what you really love is money, specifically my money. Murmurs ripple through the crowd. Marcus tries to laugh it off. This is a misunderstanding. Is it? Then explain. Caroline Westbrook, Jennifer Hale, Sophia Ramirez. The names hit like bombs. Marcus's smile vanishes. 3 women, 3 wealthy families, 3 engagements that ended with you walking away richer and them emotionally destroyed. Patricia steps forward from the back of the room holding a tablet. She projects images onto the large screen behind the altar, photos, documents, timelines. Marcus Lane, real name Marcus Langford. Previous aliases include Mark Lawrence and Martin Cross, wanted for questioning in 2 states for fraud and extortion. The crowd erupts. Marcus backs away, fury replacing his charm. You can't prove anything. Emily stands. Actually, we can. She holds up her necklace, revealing the recording device. Every word you said last week, about using me, about the divorce plan, about splitting my father's fortune, it's all recorded. Marcus lunges toward Emily, but Thomas steps between them. 2 men in suits emerge from the crowd, undercover FBI agents. Marcus Langford, you're under arrest for wire fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy to commit financial exploitation. Handcuffs click. The room is silent except for Marcus's furious protests as he's dragged out. You'll regret this, all of you, he screams. Justice isn't always loud, but when it comes, it's final. The guests have left. Emily sits alone in the empty venue, still in her wedding dress, staring at the altar. Thomas sits beside her. I'm sorry, he says softly. For what? Emily asks. For not protecting you from this pain. Emily smiles sadly. You did protect me, Dad. You stopped me from making the worst mistake of my life. She leans her head on his shoulder. Why didn't you ever tell me about the money? Because I wanted you to grow up knowing your worth wasn't in a bank account, it was in who you are. And who am I? Someone strong enough to face the truth, brave enough to walk away, and smart enough to know that real wealth is this. He gestures to the two of them sitting together. What happens now? Emily asks. We go home, we rebuild, and we live the life we choose, not the one someone else wanted to steal. 6 months later, the ranch is bathed in golden sunset light. Emily is working in the garden, her hair tied back, dirt on her hands. She's laughing at something on her phone. Thomas watches from the porch, a cup of coffee in hand. People ask me if I regret hiding my wealth, if I wish I'd lived differently, bigger house, fancier cars, a life that screamed success. And I tell them this. True wealth isn't what you show the world, it's what you protect when no one's looking. It's the daughter who learned to value character over comfort. It's the morning coffee on a quiet porch. It's the knowledge that when the storm came, we didn't break, we stood together. Marcus Langford is serving 8 years for fraud. The women he hurt before Emily, they've started a support group helping others recognize the warning signs. And Emily, she's back in school finishing her master's degree. She dates carefully now, trusts slowly, but she's happy. Because she learned what I've always known. The only fortune worth having is the one you'd give up everything to keep. Emily looks up and waves at her father. He waves back. And that is the only wealth that matters.